court storming shouldn't be outlawed, right? Let's just start there. Shouldn't be outlawed. It's part of the fabric of college sports, whether it's football and tearing down the goalposts on a big win and everybody storming the field and everybody celebrating.
Which they don't allow anymore, tearing down at the goalposts.
They don't?
Well, I mean,
no, you get fined. I mean,
they reinforce them where you can't uproot them anymore. You can't tear them down.
I can almost guarantee you if they get to it, they going to be able to tear it down.
No, they're not able to, but go ahead.
And I know the school gets fined and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Now, based on the video that I see, though, Skip, Filipowski, how you say his name?
Filipowski.
Yeah, Filipowski. Mm-hmm. He looked non-athletic to me. Okay. He looks non-athletic. Get out the way, man.
I thought he looked pretty athletic.
No,
he was
initiating.
He was throwing body blocks.
Well, he was, but get out the way. Yeah. You got to spin around. Just get out. You can't see them coming. Just get out the way.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make a big thing of this because it's Duke basketball and Duke got upset as the number 8 team in the land. They got upset by a Wake Forest team without Randolph Childress back in the day. But here's what I would say about this particular situation.
Trip.
The fans are a part.
Body block.
In college basketball, for instance, fans are a part, student athletes. They're rushing the court because they see guys that they're in class with, that they may have a meal with, that they hang out and party with, just won a big game. So they naturally, the emotions are riding so high that they storm the field, or the court, better yet. He saw them. He just couldn't get out the way. Whatever it was, bumping of the knee, twisting of the knee, whatever the case is, it's a freak accident. This is not something that every single week, when this happens, when there's a big upset, that we have an accident with a player getting nicked or injured that we now have to talk about. This is the first time in the history of me covering sports I ever had to talk about somebody getting, I don't know, injured when the crowd storms the court or the field. That's the first time. Now, obviously, there's been other incidents where you go back to LeGarrette Blount in Oregon and against Boise State where he got into confrontation with a player, not a fan.
He did.
In that situation. But other than that, I've never had to have a conversation.
Caitlin Clark got run into as she was trying to leave the court.
But that wasn't a conversation. She got run into as she was trying to leave the court by a fan that ran on to the court and did not see her in this situation. I don't think it should be outlawed. Should maybe there's some sort of different approach to letting the players get off the court if you're concerned with that?
There used to be a time limit, like they'd give them 10 seconds to
whatever
get off.
The case. Then drop the ropes. They did it many years in the NBA. When I was growing up, they would rope it off. I just remember, because we won so many championships as Lakers, that the yellow rope would be out there, and they would hold everybody back. And then once the players, then they would just drop the rope and everybody would go. This was way back when. So maybe they take that approach in this situation. Hopefully it's nothing serious for him in terms of derailing his next move to the professional level, which I don't believe it is. But to think and say that it was personal and they had deliberately did this to you, it's like, man, come on, man, stop, man. I get it, it's Duke basketball, but Mike Krzyzewski ain't on the floor. So let's stop with the deliberate that these student athletes or these students at Wake Forest deliberately tried to injure you. Let's stop that.
Okay, I will stop that because that's not what happened here. But I will start with this. I don't like court storming because what if Keyshawn Johnson had been on that court, knowing you, the competitor that you were? Let's turn it around. Let's make you a basketball player, given your same mentality that you played with. And you just get upset as the 8th-ranked team in the country at Wake. They've been all over you, screaming and yelling at you all game. And all of a sudden you look up and hundreds, literally hundreds, are running right at you. Before the game's up, they were starting to break onto the court 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With 5 seconds left, they're pouring, especially from the baseline, right up at him. If Keyshawn Johnson is thrust into that situation, knowing how hot-headed you might be at that moment, just emotionally charged at that moment because you've been playing with your emotions all over your sleeves for 4 quarters, and a bunch of crazed fans, maybe drunk fans, are running headlong at you, there is potential you might deck 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, so
right?
now that you said that.
Am I right?
No, you're wrong. Now that you said that, I have experienced that in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
Going up there as I think we were the number 2 seed at the time, number two ranked team at the time, and Notre Dame was like not even ranked. And they beat our brakes in. Obviously, yours truly had a good game, but the rest of us did not show up. Yeah, I got to point the finger.
Okay.
And they stormed the field, many of them. And they obviously was screaming in my face and all sorts. I just kept it moving. I just lost the game. And I was mad, but I was not so upset that I was going to go at the students that just ran onto the field. I just, you don't think like that. As long as, again, don't touch me. Now you ask the question, well, what if a fan would have grabbed you or touched you or something along those lines? Now we're talking about something different. Now we're having a different conversation because you violated me by putting your damn hands on me. You coming on the field, I don't have a problem. You could scream. You can tell me I'm the worst, I'm terrible, I'm the reason we lost. Don't touch me, and we have no issues. None at all.
Okay. What if they sort of accidentally start bumping into you because there are just too many of them and there's no exit strategy for you? You don't have a way out.
So I'm going to make my way out.
Yeah.
I'm going to, I know how to get through the maze without having confrontation. In this situation, he was trying to get out of the way. And it looked like from one of the clips, it looked like he kind of gave him a little chicken wing at that point in time.
No, he was throwing body blocks. He was, at the end.
But to me, he didn't need to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I just think he was angry at losing.
And that may have been the case. And you say you don't like that because it could create a problem. You're correct in that sense.
Yeah.
But come on, man, this has been going on as long as I've ever been watching sports. As long as I've been alive, they've been doing this. Okay. So now all of a sudden, a Duke player gets injured and it becomes the world national news all over. What if this was a Mississippi State player? Will we still be having this conversation?
I don't know, because in the SEC, where I came from, at Vanderbilt University, they have for years now been fining crowds $100 or
okay, so go to another
$100,000.
If this happened at Boise State, and Boise State had just upset Kentucky or whatever the case is, and a Kentucky player got hurt, would we carry on like this?
By the way, this is a little before your time, but the great Larry Bird at Indiana State, you won't remember this.
No, I remember.
But they won the regional final against Arkansas to get to the Final Four in 1979 against Magic and Company, if you remember. And one of his own fans ran up to him on the floor after they had upset Arkansas. That was the triplets with Sidney Moncrief. And Larry Bird just turned around and just decked him, just flat out cold-cocked him, okay, because he put his hands on Larry Bird.
There you go.
That was what it was. Don't touch me.
You can celebrate around me. You can scream. You can call me whatever. Don't touch me. Because when you touch me, I'm going to react a certain way.
All right. I believe this is just too dangerous, but I don't have a great way to stop it unless you go to the lengths of saying if you court storm, okay, but that's what they sell as part of the romance of the game.
Yes,
this is what you do.
Think about it. Highlights. I'm selling it to my recruits. When you walk into these facilities, Skip, these big $50 million facilities, and there's big screens that when you walk in, they got all this stuff on the big screen showing you celebrations and things like that as recruits to get you juiced up. I mean, that's what it is.
Okay, here's Zach Edey, the reigning National Player of the Year for Purdue. Their 7'4" center says students, probably a lot of drunk students, charging the court against another team isn't the safe thing to do, but I think it's part of the game, to your point.
Part of it.
Okay, and then Kim Mulkey, who coaches obviously at LSU, has said that, let me find her quote, we can line them up like a bunch of soldiers out there. She's talking about security guards. And at the end of the day, you're outnumbered. So you can hire, and they're not going to pay the expenses to hire 200 security. You know,
whatever
might have
150.
They might have. I don't even think they have near that many. But whatever they have against 20,000 people, you can't stop them. And maybe 10,000 are going to storm the court. Well, we've seen what happened at European soccer matches where you have mass chaos and people get trampled. Yeah, it's a whole different level of craziness to me. And sometimes you get stuck in passageways or you're trying to exit or enter the field. And God help us if that ever happens in a college basketball game. But to me, I do like the SEC. The SEC has curtailed it by saying it's going to cost the school $100,000, but it doesn't cost the students $100,000. So it's
but
not
the school will write that check, though.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah. Well,
that's nothing for them.
It's nothing, but
for
it's
them,
something.
for the school, for Alabama, for Kentucky, Tennessee, even Vandy, that's
Even
nothing.
Vandy. Well, it's
$100,000. They're only doing
curtailed it.
They're only doing it once every, 10 years? When you get a major upset like that?
I think this happened a lot. Like Zach Edey was talking about, they've lost 3 games over the last 2 years, and they've gotten stormed every time because they lose on the road. They lost at Nebraska, they lost at Ohio State. They're just going to get court stormed. So
so let's say it happened more than once. I'm talking about for a single institution.
Yeah.
It's not like every single year they write checks for $100,000+ multiple times in a season. Is what I'm trying to say. They're only writing them once every blue moon. So look, you don't want to see anybody get injured at all. Kids, students, coaches, players. It could be children out there. You don't want to see any of that. But to try to limit it and push back on it, I think it's not part of it. It's almost like when I look back at as a kid growing up in the Super Bowl, and when Bill Belichick ruined my moment, when he brought his entire team out, he ruined it for every player that's ever watched the Super Bowl growing up because they called you out, right? Here comes...
Which one?
Any other Super Bowls. Okay. Michael Irvin comes out, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, starting lineup.
Oh, okay.
Now all of a sudden you come out as an entire team. When Bill did that in their first Super Bowl in New England, the rest of the league had to follow suit. They couldn't do the individual thing anymore, so it ruined it. Now, all of a sudden, what I'm saying, the reason I bring that up is because...
So he stole your private, personal moment?
Because now everybody has to come out as a team. Because it's a team thing. Think about all the Super Bowls before when they announced the starting lineup and they announced it. Everybody came out individually as the starters in the game, whether it was on the defensive side or the offensive side. You got that growing up. That was one of the big, bright moments in the Super Bowl when you watch. Wow, if I ever get there, here's a moment. If I ever get to the Super Bowl, first person I'm going to get is my kids out the stands. Those are moments that you see growing up as a kid.
Sure.
Moments growing up as a kid you see storming the court as your favorite team. Wow, USC basketball just upset Georgetown. You a student at USC and you got the opportunity, you probably want to start because that's what you always seen growing up. And now you're saying, okay, we're going to take these moments away from the NBA, from college basketball. We're going to take the on-field rushing and tearing down the goalposts. All that, to me, tearing down the goalposts, man, that's part of college football. That's part of it. Why they did it, to take it away, I guess people was getting injured. And
the goalposts are so heavy that
they was walking
the
off with them.
the
liability, I get it. I get the liability of it.
And if you're up on, if you start going up the poles on the side of the uprights, you could fall.
I'm sure the drunken college students contributed to some of that. But here's another thing. Some of these universities, depending on, and it may be different depending on the conference, they don't even sell alcohol on campus at college games, depending on what university it is. Ohio State just started doing it a couple years ago. They didn't sell alcohol on campus. And then their athletic director, Archie Griffin, said, I think we going to benefit from this, and we're going to make money, but we're going to cut it off at a certain time point.
They're supposed to cut it off. I don't know that they do.
No, they do. I'm sure they cut it off, but there's different ways to consume alcohol into a stadium.
I'll throw one last idea at you that will never, ever happen. But if you really want to stop this, and I would like to see it stop,
I don't want to see it stop.
Okay, I know, but I'm just telling you, I would. And I've been saying this for years. There's one way to stop it. If you pull off a big upset at home and you storm the court, you forfeit the game. I promise you that will stop it. If it became known, if you storm, if students run onto the floor at the end of the game, you will forfeit said game, and it becomes hard and fast. That's the rule. And you do it once to somebody, it will stop.
How many rules are similar like that? If you throw things on the field, your team is going to be penalized because of delay of game. Doesn't stop the fans from throwing things on the field.
No, but this would be
if you throw things at somebody, you're going to get kicked out the stadium. It doesn't stop people from throwing things at people on the field. If you are disruptive to a whole nother level, cursing and doing this and that, you're going to be kicked out of the stadium. It doesn't stop people at all, Skip, at all.
At some point, I think the fans are going to have to be protected from the players, because I think what you just saw from him was he was just angry and he's taking it out. He's initiating contact with the on-rushers.
He did initiate it.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
He was the first one to throw a blow.
Yeah.
Based on the video I saw.
Well, he tripped one kid running full speed, and I don't know what happened. Maybe that kid's hurt. I don't know. He's certainly banged up.
I'm sorry for the Dukies out there, Jay Will, but it's Duke.
It's Duke. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.